Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Hey, Five Tribe. Today's episode is called How to Decide Who You Are, and it is all about getting clear on the person you're becoming. This is the 4th episode and all about starting over, creating that best version of yourself. I'm Andrew, and with me always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
I'm good. I was like, wow, this is the 4th part. I was like, is this number 3 or 4?
It's 4. Yeah, we've been going through these. It's going good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
The biggest thing with this is most people, when they get to this part, is usually when they start working with us. It's because people don't not change because they lack motivation. They don't change because they lack clarity. And I think one of the biggest things that both you and I had experienced previously and that most of our clients have is that they just don't know who they want to be.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people come to us with a sense of emptiness. I wouldn't call it like full-fledged midlife crisis or anything like that. It's just more like they're sort of in this midlife 30s phase and everything's sort of like good, but not great. Everything's a little like ho-hum. And, maybe there are dreams they put to the side, or maybe there's things that they chose just because they're practical. They feel like something needs to change, but they don't quite know what it is. They want to do something different, but they're not sure what. And most of them have worked really hard to get to where they are, and they don't want to blow it up. So the episode right before this one was how to change your life without, blowing everything up. So we've acknowledged through this series that people want to improve something, want to go through some type of change. They don't want it to be dramatic. They don't want a reality show about it. But we kind of get to this part where it's like, okay, I acknowledge that something needs to happen, but what? And so this episode is a good example of what we walk our clients through who maybe come to us and say, like, I just don't know who I want to be. I don't know who I want this new version of myself to be. I don't know if it means quitting my job, staying in my job, relationship, not relationship, whatever it is. This is sort of a similar process that we would walk them through.
Right. It's really important to say that not knowing, it doesn't mean you're lost. This is a pretty common thing for most people where they've spent their life leaning outwards and like listening to what the world around them is telling them who they should be, that when it comes time to start reflecting inwards and finding out who you want to be is a bit of a difficult process at first, because you've got to almost get a new set of ears and start listening to your internal voice. And most of us, that internal voice has just been do what everybody else wants so that we're okay and that we're safe and that we're all right. And that works for a certain amount of time. But like you said, that emptiness starts to creep in. And that's usually when you feel that call to change. So today we're going to get clear on the person you're becoming without pressure or overthinking it. We're going to try to really refine this down. We should just talk about why clarity feels so hard.
I think it's hard to know what you really want and who you want to be, because so much of who all of us have become has to do with societal expectations and these invisible rules that we abide by. And that doesn't mean that conformity is a bad thing. That's not saying you have to be this ultra rebellious person. But it is really important in the process of deciding who you want to be to sort of go back and think, like, how did I even choose this identity? Like, why did you choose the job you chose? Why did you choose the partner you chose? Why did you choose the house that you have? Are you making choices based on what you think from the inside out? Or are the choices already given to you based on, society, parents, friends, neighbors, what looks good, what others expect? Because so often, like, we confuse like this clarity for certainty, when really the clarity that we all need and what's right for each of us, it can't come from outside sources.
No, and that's usually what leads us to this issue, is that the clarity that we want, it doesn't come from making a grandiose decision. It just comes from noticing. And I think that's I think it's kind of sold to us in movies and things. Is like there's that light bulb moment where it clicks on and it's like, oh, suddenly I realize that I was always meant to do this thing that's completely different from my life and it needs to be that. And what it's more about, I mean, that makes good movies and good television, but what life is actually more about is the subtle things that you notice as you go around in your day to day life or your weeks, and understanding that the person you are now that you're changing, you want to iterate and change away from, isn't because you did something wrong in the past. It's just you did what everybody's done. I mean, that's societal based expectations are very, very prevalent, especially in North America. And so sometimes when you're starting to unlearn these things, it can be challenging. One of the questions like we like to ask people is like, who did you learn who you should be from? Like who taught you this is who you're supposed to be? This is what grown up Andrew is supposed to look like. This is what grown up Catherine is supposed to look like. This is what grown up you is supposed to look like. When you can start to reflect on that, you'll come up with some pretty good answers, but it's a really good time to reflect on that question.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think that the idea of maybe changing or becoming someone new or sort of going against the grain or sort of doing something different from what everyone else does, it seems like this really huge thing, this idealized version of you that's somewhere really far in the future, or it's some fantasy you read about where two people quit their jobs and now they live in Thailand, or whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. Who you're becoming and who you want to be isn't actually as far away as you think. It's often just a mindset shift. Because you're having this conversation, because you clicked on this podcast episode, or because you're seeing this clip on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, it means that you're already in motion becoming who you want to be. It is not as far away as you think.
Yeah, the person you're becoming right now, that future self of you is already talking back to you and leaving clues in your day-to-day life of, yes, yeah, do that. And no, don't do that anymore. It's something that shows up very quietly and it almost will sneak by you until you have somebody on the outside go, that was the thing that you keep saying that you don't think is a big deal. The fact that you love reading and you love writing reports and like that is the thing that you're meant to move towards. We don't know what that fully looks like yet, but that's the next step. And typically these types of things, when they show up quietly, they'll go under our radar because we're so used to thinking it's got to be dramatic. It's like getting hit in the side of the head with a brick or something like that to sink in, but it's really not about that. I mean, for us, something that really quietly showed up was Catherine and I, we would be talking and we weren't really into the big house idea and we weren't really into the next newest car idea. And for us, all these little things were like, yeah, that's fine. And then we finally were able to kind of formalize it in our experience going, we don't buy into this. We're not buying into the societal script that everybody seems to be telling us that needs to be our way of life.
Yeah, I think to clarify, previous versions of us did have a lot of these checkbox things, like the big house and all these different things. And it was exhausting for both of us to take care of it. But that's what, proves to everyone else that you actually did what you were supposed to do and you work hard and all of these things. And now both of us have small homes and we go back and forth between the US and Canada. And we were just telling another couple about that. They were very confused. They asked where we were from, and we were like, well, we're Winnipeg and Chicago. And the first thing they said was, wow, that sounds really expensive. And it surprised both of us because we live in such a different way from other people that people would be surprised at what they can do, that it's actually not as expensive as they think. When you say no to something else, when you say no to the big house or the brand new car, you're saying yes to other things like the ability to travel, the ability to have 2 small homes in 2 different countries, right? And go back and forth. But for the longest time, before Andrew and I became the versions of ourselves that we are now, we both had this sort of quiet knowing. And I'm sure other people have experienced this too, where you're in a busy room with a bunch of friends and everyone's talking about where they're going or what new car they're going to get or that they got a promotion. And it's just, I don't know, sometimes I would just sit there and just be I don't care. None of this stuff's impressive to me. Or I'd be in a group of women and they would talk about the newest bag they got, or they talked about something on Real Housewives and no hate if Real Housewives is like your guilty pleasure. I get it. But none of this interests me. Like, we are very not materialistic. And when you're kind of different from other people or different from the norm, it can make you feel really isolated. But there's also an opportunity in there to do something really unique and interesting with your life. So if you're kind of at the point where you're just sort of like, over the conversation at work, over the conversations like drinking with your neighbors, and you're just, wow, I just don't want in this anymore. That's what we're talking about where your future life is leaving clues. It's these little tiny bits of knowing and these little nudges of your body being like, this isn't really who I am. I'm not aligned with this.
Yeah, that's really well put. And I think saying, I'm not aligned with this anymore also gives credence to that person that got you there. And because we talked about that last episode, right? If I'm reinventing, that means I'm discounting all that I've already done. It's like, no, back then you made these choices because they were the right choices for you to become to this person. And now you've got to this place and now you're finding that maybe you do like certain things and don't like certain things. And now you're iterating, you're recreating yourself with a new identity. It doesn't have to be away from everything. It's just away from the things that no longer serve you. Catherine, you bring up a good point. Like for you and I, and I'm going to steal your line here, like we just decided to opt out. Like that's just kind of been our thing is, no, we're not doing that. And we've talked to a lot of people. It's like, well, you have to do this. And as soon as we hear that, Catherine and I are it's so opposite to these things. Like if somebody tells you tells one of us, you have to do this, you have to get a new car because you just got a raise, you have to go have a summer home because everybody else has one. Pat and I would just look at each other and we're like, nope, we're opting out from that. It's just been something that we just can't buy into. We tried to buy into the scripts and everything for a long time. And we're like, you know what? I don't want to do grass. I really don't. So like, let's get places where somebody else is. Let's get condos, apartments where, people do the landscaping and stuff. And let's go, see about cutting our monthly costs down because I would way rather spend $200 on travel than spend $200 on this extra grocery stuff that really doesn't serve me and is not good for me. We have just decided to honor who we truly are. And that came with those little clues, as we were just mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet this is true for our listeners as it is for me. Like when you look back at your life, when you look back at the things you liked as a kid, when you look back at maybe the things that came naturally to you, there were probably clues then too about what you valued and who you are and wherever you spent your money from your grandma for Christmas, like the things that you liked doing, those are all clues. And it's like, as we get older, we sort of lose the wonder and the interest in all of these things. And we sort of sign up to be a grown up. And so this moment, like give yourself the opportunity to find the clarity without feeling the need to reinvent everything. And, when I talk about what you liked as a kid and stuff like that, like the very first thing I would recommend to our clients, and we actually ask them, what did you like doing as a kid? Because it usually tells us what types of activities expand you and what types of activities drain you. Follow the energy, follow the things that bring you joy, follow the things that you would do constantly and not stop.
I love that. Yeah. Following your energy is the biggest one, is what's making you feel good, what's making you feel bad. The next thing that you should do, and I hate using the word should, but it's valid this time, is look at what you're drawn to repeatedly. Look for the patterns. That's information. If you like to go for morning walks or you like being in the woods or you really like just thrive in that busy downtown vibe, these are all things that are moving you forward to this new person. And it's really, really important because we're going to discount that. We're going to say, I really like being downtown, but I got a place already in the country and it's fine. And it's like, no, it's not fine. It's just that part of you that is telling you there's more. This is where we're moving towards. And if you can acknowledge that and start to embrace it more, life is going to be better. You just have to give yourself permission to kind of see what patterns are emerging.
Yeah. And as you're paying attention to what you're drawn to repeatedly, what brings you joy, what gives you energy, pay attention to what brings you discomfort too. And those pain points are really important pieces of information where you're just like, wow, I truly cannot stand going to this office every day and having 3 meetings in this boardroom. Every time someone calls a meeting to a boardroom, I'm just like, no, like screaming on the inside of my head. That might show you, look, you maybe are meant to thrive in a smaller company, in a remote role, in something else that maybe involves deeper work and less social interaction or whatever it is. Those discomfort is a clue. What gives you energy and joy is a clue. All of these things are really, really important to pay attention to.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you absolutely hated hated meeting, I used to like sit in meetings in the office and I would count the windows on the building across the way. It's like 356. It was just like, that is how much I did not like it. And people would tease me and it's like, oh, Andrew's checked out. I'm like, yeah, Andrew's checked out because we've been talking about the same thing for 2 hours and we haven't made a decision yet. So this is the types of things that, clearly something's draining me. This is a point of discomfort. So office work, probably not my jam.
And again, because we're teaching you not to blow up your life, this is not a movie. We are not standing up and saying, there's 360 windows and I'm tired of this job and, slamming it down in this big movie moment. We're like, okay, what's a good move strategically? Do I need to stay in this company in a different role? Do I need to, do this, do that? But what we're really trying to get our clients to think about when we do this, and you, dear listener, is think about like what you would do if money wasn't an option, if you didn't have to impress anybody, like if integrity and alignment was the goal and not how successful and impressive it's going to look or sound to your parents or your culture or whatever else, what would you do? And I can hear all the people like instant joking, like, well, I just watch Netflix all day or whatever. Like, no, what did you love doing as a kid? What interests you? What was your fascination? Like, were you the dinosaur book person where you knew every single dinosaur? Like, whatever it was, these are patterns and clues about how your brain works and everything that you used to do before society told you should be something else.
Yeah, it's a really, really important thing. We can't I know we're kind of giving away some of the coaching secrets here, but what you enjoyed as a child, there's a lot in there. And it's not always as simple as, well, I'm just going to read dinosaur books for the rest of my life, but it is something that lends towards bigger things. And we kind of coach you through all that. I think that is just part of it, though, is looking at your life and going, what fits now? And what doesn't fit anymore, and what feels honest to me at this point, and what feels like I'm kind of going through the motions, faking it a little bit, because we all have that. And the faking it doesn't always have to be. Catherine just probably gave you the best question. And I'll add to it is, what would you do if you didn't need the money? What would you do all day? And you didn't need to share it on social media or tell people about it. What would you do if it was just for you? And I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of impressing the society people, showing off and all these things. When you strip it all down and you don't need money, what are you doing? What is the thing that lights you up? There is a way to build a life around that. And there's a way to build a life around that incrementally, which is, what we're big proponents of.
Yeah. And again, like Andrew said, we're not trying to be literal. We're not saying hey, you like dinosaurs, go be a paleontologist, right? We're saying for me, I just went through a bunch of boxes from my childhood. I mean, there's so many journals. There's so many stories. I had a family newspaper that I distributed to everyone. Everything pointed to me doing very deep, reading and writing and quiet work. But there are parts of our work where I was on, doing media and TV and speaking. And sometimes it's because you do certain things well, you think you have to do them. But every time I did those things, it was great and it helped the business, but those were some of my most draining days. And then, other times Andrew and I sit and we create and we write and we're really in flow. And that's where all the magic is. That's where all the joy in the work is for me. And so that's what we mean when we think about a kid. Andrew loved doing puzzles as a kid. That is so his vibe now. That he's our tech guy. He puts all the pieces together. He makes the business run very efficiently. Like his brain works like that, like a puzzle clicking together. And like that is his role and his area of genius. And so there are things that you were naturally drawn to and things that you liked doing that you can think of how that isn't missing from your life now. Like, did you choose something like you might be in something that has the total opposite energy drain of what you actually need, and you could actually feel a ton better if you shifted things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is like you don't just become someone new and pick a label like I'm a paleontologist now because I like dinosaur books. You become that new person by aligning yourself with how that future version of you is going to live. And that, again, gradual process. And yeah, and like Catherine said, like there are, for both of us, it was very clear. I love the puzzle thing. I love talking with people and helping solve their problems. And that was just another idea, just to show you an iteration of stuff. Problem solving can lend itself to different things. Writing and communicating can lend itself to different things. And not all of those things are going to be a proper fit. But again, it kind of puts you in the right arena. And then you can start to figure out where your seat is in that arena.
Exactly.
Was that a good analogy? Did I just do a good analogy for the first time in 2026? Wow.
Sure, why not? We'll
Sure,
it
let's
to
give me
you.
that. I did
Yeah,
not
why
then.
not? It doesn't hurt us to
It's-
say good job, Andrew. So when you're in alignment, you're going through this process, you're trying to think about who you want to be. It's a slow process. A couple of things I want to remind our listeners what clarity is going to feel like. It's not going to feel like a big aha moment. It's not going to be like this big euphoric state of like the clouds parting and the angels singing. You're just going to feel grounded. You're not going to feel pressured. It's just, you're going like your body, your brain, you're going to feel like what you're doing is right. It's kind of like how you make a decision that you worried over or something and like suddenly you sleep better that night. That is what certainty feels like. Certainty feels like calm, grounded energy, not frantic, urgent, explosive energy. It's chill and aligned is the best way I can describe it.
I like that. Chill and align. It's like what quietly feels right
Yeah.
in my life. Like, yeah, that feels good. And I think we all have those things. So see how your body kind of reacts to stuff. Your body knows the truth long before our brains ever know the truth. So
Yeah.
if you are being told, hey, we're going to such and such place tonight, and you get tense and you have stomach cramps and everything else around that, you may not like that place, person, thing, event, or whatever it is. But if somebody says, hey, we're going to this other thing, and you get excited and your body comes alive, there you go. There's something else. And I get to go do that. And that's kind of what we're going for with this, is like that get to feeling versus the have to feeling.
Love that.
Yeah. So what happens when you don't have the vision yet? Because that's where you're at. That's where you're usually at right now when you listen to this episode. First of all, you don't need to have full confidence in who you're going to be. You don't know your 5-year self right now. You're just edging towards things. You're finding out which doors you're going to open and which ones maybe need to close. You don't need to have the next 10 steps. You just need to know that next step that's going to feel right. And if you take that step and it doesn't feel right, you take a step back, you go in a different direction. There's no wrong things. There's only valuable lessons learned. Catherine and I say that all the time. No experience is wasted. If you're listening to this and you go, yeah, you know what she said about writing is really good. I'm going to start writing every day. And you sit down and you absolutely hate the process of it. That's okay. You just realize that you don't want to be a writer. You take a step back and you go look at the next thing. Maybe you want to do something else like, I don't know, cooking, movie star, whatever feels right for you. Very, very wide example there. But when you do this, just be easy on yourself. This is a fun process. I think that's the thing we haven't discussed is like, this is supposed to be awesome. This is when we walk people through this, they are excited. They're like, I didn't realize this. And I did this week from last week when we talked. And oh my goodness, I feel so much better. I feel happy. Do people still feel happy at our age? Like, yeah, it's just that you've been ignoring yourself and now you're finally coming alive.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you said that. It made me smile really big, actually, because it's supposed to be fun, like try not to make this like this super serious, like we're called 5-year year. We do work with people on 5-year plan ideas, but your plan like can change. Like this is a flexible growth process where you have the freedom, you have the time. There's no urgency, right? You get to take your time and enjoy discovering who you are or rediscovering like who you were always meant to be, but the person kind of got buried along the way. This is an exciting time to find clarity about who you are, who you want to be, and the goals that you want to reach. And once you have an idea, again, you don't have to have the whole picture. Like Andrew said, just got to be one step, just one little step. Once you have that, then I think some of our previous episodes become helpful about how to make those small changes over time without completely obliterating everything that you've worked towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that is very, very important for you, listener, is that because you're listening to this show, you're further along this journey than you're giving yourself credit for. And that is a really good takeaway, is that just because you may not be where you think you should be, you can acknowledge where you are. And that is honoring this preference that has shown up, this change that is you're being called to, rather than being, oh, I don't know who I'm supposed to be. It's like, no, you do. You're doing the next step. So that's just something I wanted to leave you with as a bit of encouragement. And, next week we're going to talk about how to build some habits around becoming the best version of yourself, that future self. But for now, we're going to end with our glimmers as we always do. So Kat, what is your glimmer?
Oh my gosh. So if new listeners are here, you should know that Andrew and I, we love a good thrift score. We love a good resale story. And I just went to this very generous woman's house. She was giving away a few things on Marketplace. And when I got to her house, we vibed so hard. We were like the same size. And she was moving to another country. Like, she was done. She didn't have time to list things. And like, we had such a good little chatty time. I was leaving and I was like, wow, why do you have to leave and go to another country? Like, bummer. Like, we got along so well. We were just like, she literally gave me her whole closet. And I have to go through it all and all of these different things. But like, she just gave it to me. I didn't pay her for it or anything. She just really needed help emptying out her house. And she ended up like packaging even more stuff up and giving me more the next day. And so we keep unboxing little treasures from her. And so there's just a lot of really good vibes and energy going on. We always try to like gift things and, offer gratitude. We always try to be generous. And so this was like a really big generosity that came back in full force for me.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing when we found out about that this week. So cool.
Yeah.
My glimmer is a physical one. As a lot of people know, I've had like a really bad jaw problem. It's like TMJ, and I've done acupuncture, I've done physiotherapy, I've tried everything to fix this, and I very, very seldomly get relief. My physiotherapist that was working with my shoulder, she said, can I try to adjust things through your mouth? That's the only other thing that hasn't been tried yet. And of course, I'm like, why not? Because I've tried everything else. And it was such an amazing thing. This person puts her hand in my mouth and gently moves a couple of things that, like, honestly, I feel like my tongue does more movement in my mouth, like on the roof of my mouth. But suddenly something shifted and I just felt like this flood of energy through my body. It was almost like a vein that had been crimped for 10 years got opened up, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And the pain has been gone for a week now. And I'm just so grateful for it.
Awesome.
It's so amazing. It's so nice to
That's
be walking around
wonderful.
without pain. Yeah, thank you. It's been really,
Such a glimmer. You probably get so used to the pain that you'd even like, you know what I mean? It's probably just so weird to be walking around without it. So I'm really happy for you.
thank you. It's been awesome. I'm very happy for your haul too. That is like the haul of
Thanks.
a lifetime. We can't
Sorry,
go
I
into the
shouldn't have
details
guys
of it all.
stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.